it's hugely important to follow your intuition if you are looking after children, if you're a parent, if you're a caregiver or a teacher, for example. So I talk about intuition a lot. I'm utterly in love with it because when you follow your intuition, you know, when you follow your body and your mind and your soul, you're all aligned, it will bring you to the next best step for you to take for your life, and life can become juicy. So it's also really important to teach your children about intuition. It's huge. So, for example, intuition is always infallible. It's never wrong. But what might happen, you might be thinking, well, what are you talking about? You know, I followed my intuition and, you know, something didn't work out. But very often, or sometimes you can't hear it. Very often, stress can get in the way and mind chatter can get in the way of our receiving intuitive guidance. So intuition is guidance that comes from the divine, or if you prefer, the quantum field or God, whatever you're comfortable with, but it comes through your authentic self. So it's guidance that comes from your higher self, from the divine, and it comes through your authentic self. And it will show you what is required for your next step. Now, your children need to know about this as well. Your children are naturally, innately born with being highly perceptive and in touch with their intuition. But conditioning means that it can become covered over or clouded. Now, the important point I want to make today, it just popped into my mind. I thought I have to make a video on this. Authority figures. If you think about it, if society tell their children to always respect authority figures no matter what, this is not beneficial and could lead to, being quite dangerous depending on the circumstances. Children should not give their power away to authority figures. So I found when I was bringing up my children, this happened naturally within me because I was following my intuition. So I remember saying to them, now, by the way, the caveat is that I raised my children to be respectful, polite, and mannerly, and at the same time, go within, know who they are, and rely on how they feel about something. It's super important, and so many people do not do this. And it's incredibly important for your child's life, for their self-esteem, for the people they attract into their life later on, for the career that they choose, for everything, the choices they make in health and well-being. Intuition is absolutely huge. So I remember, for example, if they'd say something about perhaps a teacher, I was very, very careful who I was being. So it's not just about the words that you're speaking in front of them, it's who you're being. It's who you're being, because that's what they tap into. And that's what they'll emulate, because you're modeling that for them. So I might have heard something about how a teacher said something to them, and I was always so careful about conditioning them in a positive way, but I have no control over what a teacher says, for example, or something that a friend might say, or something they pick up from the media or something, So I made it a point of telling them that those teachers are there for you. They are employed for you and the other children. They're employed for all of you. That school is there for you. So make the most out of it. Have fun. Learn what you're passionate about. But they're there for you. Because very often it's the other way around. You have to sit down, be quiet, and do as you're told. That will squash your children and make it very difficult for them to hear their intuitive guidance. Same with doctors. So see the point I'm making? The point being that your intuition can be, or your children's intuition can be blocked because they've been raised to respect authority figures. So they give their power away and they don't go within. I think it's so important to tell your children about authority figures, that they're there for you. The doctor, the same. We've been hardwired to give our power away to doctors. So the white coat and the medical degree gives them so much power. And we've been hardwired to give our power away. I do not do this. Thankfully, I don't really go to doctors that much, nor do my children. Very grateful for this. They keep very healthy. But when they did go for a checkup or something, I explained to them, the doctor is there for you. They're there to help you. So ask them questions. It doesn't sound like a big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal to say that to your children. The doctor is there for you. So ask them questions. They work for you. Because very often, I know I was raised, it was the other way around. Whatever the doctor says, you do. And you have no say in it. Like it's not your body, like you're not sovereign. You have no autonomy. It's very unhealthy. So we need to make sure that our children know how to tap into their intuition. And that's very important. This one aspect of it. Teach them about authority figures. Teach them about, doctors and teachers. They're there for your children. They work for your children and the other children, obviously. When you do this, your children more and more will trust their own feelings on things, or however they respond. If they go with their gut response, or you can feel it in different areas of your body. Everybody is different. Everybody has a different design, but they'll know. They need to trust their intuition. It's so important. It keeps them safe, apart from anything else. I mean, I'm in love with intuition because it tells us the next best step, and we can live just the most magnificent lives. We can live masterpiece of a life. When it comes to children, though, yes, that's the case, but very much so, keep them safe. When they're not with you, when they're at school, is this a good person to, for the big things, is this a good person to hang around with? Or when they're teenagers, is this a good person to hang around with? Am I getting a feeling? Am I getting a feeling? Do I trust that feeling? And right down to the foods they should be eating as well, That's a bit tricky when they're younger, obviously. But it's all very important, and I can't stress enough the importance of having a discussion with your children about authority figures, and for them not to give their power away to maybe seek external validation, or because they were told that this is what you do. They're older, so you listen to them. It's so important to have this discussion with your children. Don't give your power away. Tell them not to give their power away. You can word it any way you want, but you know what I mean? We're raised to give our power away to authority figures, and it's time we took our power back, and to no longer continue this cycle into the next generation.